I am Christina. Many of you know me as the girl that sits in the back of the room and requires you to sign in. But what a lot of you don't know is that when I was in middle school, I loved to write. More specifically, I loved to write movies. I would write different movie scripts all throughout the year, and I'd pass it around to my friends, like, hey, will you read this? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. Pass it off to the next guy because he said he was going to read it too. I absolutely loved it. I kept doing it all throughout high school too. And I knew one day I was going to be famous. So while everyone was making plans their senior year of what college they were going to go to, I was making plans to go to Hollywood. It was exciting and it was scary. But you know, fear is good because fear makes us human. Fear is simply an acknowledgement that we're taking a risk and that we care what happens. But fear can be bad too. Fear is a problem when it keeps us from trying. Fear can be a problem when we don't take those risks anymore, when we let fear win. So many of you know, and some of you don't, that when I got out of high school, I joined the Navy. I was active duty for 6 years. And I've had several jobs since then, but I joined the Navy for one reason only, and that's because I was afraid. But I just said a moment ago that my senior year I was planning on going to Hollywood, but that never happened. You see, my plans for Hollywood involved I was going to go to cosmetology school, be a makeup artist, and I was going to get a job to work on a movie set, and I was going to live in a studio apartment with roommates and eat ramen noodles every night. I was going to be broke, but I was going to be happy. And I was going to work and live and breathe the movie industry until one day I got to see one of my movies in theaters. But I had family and friends that loved me so much they couldn't bear to see me go out there and fail. And they said, Christina, you are too smart and too talented to go to Hollywood. Everybody goes to Hollywood and so few people succeed. You need to go to college. You need to get a real job. And there was enough of that worry and doubt in me that I said, you know what? You're right. So I joined the Navy. I have to always wonder now, what if? What if I said to them, yes, it is scary. Yes, very few people do succeed, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm okay if I don't make it, but at least I want to say that I try. But now, I'll never know if I would have made it. It's been almost 10 years since I left high school. In that time, if I'd gone to Hollywood, would we be watching one of my movies in Blockbuster this summer? I'll never know. So the reason I want to talk to you guys about fear today is to say one simple thing. I'm not afraid to tell you that I am afraid. And if you're afraid, that's okay too, because we should be. For a lot of people, fear is debilitating and completely stops them. They don't know how to move forward, so they quit. What they don't realize is that we need to use that fear to move us forward. It doesn't have to stop you. In business, a lot of people's fear centers around these what if questions. What if I don't make enough money? What if I don't meet my clients' expectations? What if I'm making a big mistake? What if, what if, what if? And these are questions that we can't answer, but we let them drive us crazy. We let them stop us. We need to move forward past these fears. We're so conditioned to react to our fear and stop and do the thing so we're no longer afraid. But what we need to do is say, yes, I am afraid. Let's see why. What can I do? And use it to move us forward. I started off by saying fear is good, and it's true. If you're afraid in your business, that means you care. If you weren't afraid, if you didn't care, you wouldn't be afraid. It wouldn't matter to you if you failed or if you succeeded. But the truth is, nobody wants to work with the person that doesn't care about what happens in their business. So every day you're afraid in your business is a good day because it shows that you're still committed to what you're doing. And as long as you're committed every day, success can come your way. The funny thing about success is some people actually fear succeeding. Maybe you're afraid of success. I was. After I joined the Navy, I got a new hobby. I still wrote, but there was this little show on TLC called Cake Boss. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but this guy does amazing things with cake. I actually saw him make a toilet cake that flushed. And I thought, that is amazing. I want to learn how to do that. Maybe not a flushing toilet, but something beautiful like he does. And so I started taking cake decorating classes, and I got pretty good. And so I started putting ads on Craigslist. Hey, let me make a cake for you. And I made a few baby shower cakes and things that I was really proud of. I was excited. And I was engaged to my now husband at the time, and I told him, when I move to San Diego after our wedding, I'm going to use my GI Bill from the Navy, and I'm going to go to culinary school. And I'm going to make desserts from home and cater them. And he said, that sounds awesome. I support you. And I thought, great, finally, I know what I'm going to do when I get out of the Navy. But then one day I was watching a behind-the-scenes episode of The Cake Boss where Buddy Velasco was talking about how many hours a day he spends at his bakery, sometimes 16 hours a day. He'd be there before it opened and he'd be there after it closed. And I thought, wow, that's a lot. And it put this small seed of fear inside me. And what fear likes to do is it likes to find other facts that it can use to grow itself inside you so that way you see that it's right and you don't do the thing that you're afraid of. And so I remembered that when I was stationed in Nebraska, on Monday nights, I would bake 4 or 5 dozen cookies, and I'd bring them to work. And I just did it because I like to make people happy, and cookies seem to make people happy. So I enjoyed doing it. But then one Monday night, I didn't feel well, and so I didn't make the cookies. But when I came to work on Tuesday, everybody said, well, Christina, where are the cookies? And I realized that this thing that I had started doing because it made me happy to make them happy had become this thing that was expected of me. And I didn't like that. So when I thought about the expectations combined with the potential long hours, I thought, what if I become so successful with my dessert catering business that all I'm doing is baking? Would this thing that I did because I loved it become this thing that I began to dread because I had to do it? So I didn't do it at all. I quit before I even began. There's an old saying that nothing worth having in life comes easy. And what that means is it's hard. It should be. Because you know what else they say? If it were easy, then everyone would do it. Everyone would do it. And if everybody's doing it, then nobody's making any money. You have to put in the time and the effort. For some of us, we even have to put in a financial investment. But what's important to you, you make it work. We have to acknowledge our fears. And the best way to acknowledge our fear is to write them down. So take out a pen and paper if you have it, your phone if you don't, and write down a fear that you have in your business. It can be anything. Maybe it's about meeting your customers' needs. Maybe you're worried about making enough money to pay all the bills this month. Maybe it's something bigger, something smaller. Whatever's personal to you and your business, what are you afraid of? When I started my business at the beginning of this year, I wrote down everything that I thought could go wrong, so I knew what I'd be up against. You see, when we're kids, we're all afraid of the monster in the closet. This is the same thing, but the only way to know if there's a monster in your closet is to get up out of bed, open the door, and look. Once you open the door, you may find that there's no monster at all, or maybe there is, but at least now you know, and you're not stuck wondering, what if? Because you have your answer. You have to check for the monster. It's the only way you're going to move forward. Fear is good because fear helps to keep us in check. But you can't let it stop you. I let fear stop me before, but I'm not going to let it stop me again because this is too important. And it should be important to you too. So I want to ask you one thing. Are you scared? Because you should be. Thank you.